episode with Tom and Ken. This week's episode, we're going to go back and feature a great juvenile lifer, somebody who is a pillar in his community, somebody that is a philanthropist, and even started his own organization called G.R.O.W.N. I would like to introduce you guys to Mr. Donnell.
How y'all doing? Donnell Drinks, co-founder of G.R.O.W.N, gaining respect over our worst nights. Me and my little brother, Don Jones, everybody know him as Ike, nice town celebrity. We started G.R.O.W.N. We felt the need that there was a void in our community, community that needed an organization that was for us, by us, and address the issues that other reentry, other social organizations wasn't addressing.
That's cool, man. I really appreciate that, man. And so how many years have you spent behind the bars, man?
I did 27 and a half years.
Okay.
I've been 27 and a half years. July 20th of this year, I'll be home 2 years.
Congrats, man. That's an amazing thing to be home and smell this fresh air. But unfortunately, man, you came home. It's COVID pandemic. It's so much, a mini revolution going on, man. What are you doing to keep yourself? Are you involved in any particular community functions?
Definitely. I mean, you asked what am I doing to stay busy? I thrive in that kind of chaos. You know what I'm saying? Because for me, when you see opportunities, you see situations like that, they become opportunities.
Right.
When you see people conscious of something, that's an opportunity to enlighten.
Right.
Opportunity to motivate. Mobilize. So for me, it's just a platform for G.R.O.W.N to establish itself and to contribute on different levels.
Okay.
So for the pandemic aspect, we've been giving out free masks in partnership with BTS back. That's one aspect of it. It doesn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
Crisis, it doesn't stop.
Right.
And we always got the same. They don't happen during 9 to 5 hours.
Right.
So it doesn't happen in just calm times.
Yeah.
People still dealing with trauma.
Mm-hmm.
People still dealing with poverty. Violence is still inflicting our neighborhoods. So we still standing our ground. You know what I'm saying? We been delivering a lot of, everybody give out food. And I salute everybody that have food drives and give out food. But one of the avenues that we realized was being omitted was addressing the population that they said it was for, which was the elderly and the vulnerable. And the elderly and the vulnerable was told to stay home. So it's like a catch-22, come get the food but stay home. So G.R.O.W.N took it upon itself and we developed a fleet of drivers. And we was delivering food along with Charles Reyes, salute Charles, that we've been delivering food. They got a food drive that 18th of Tioga, he's giving food out. So it varied each week. Each week it varied. Each Wednesday it varied how many we delivered, and the number just kept growing.
Okay. And how long has G.R.O.W.N been in effect?
Well, you have an honest answer and you have a philosophical answer.
Okay.
In all actuality, G.R.O.W.N been in effect 2 years since we came home.
Okay.
But we've always been putting the work in.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? We've been putting the work in from behind those bars for years. We got over 20-something years of organizational experience.
Okay.
I used to be the sitting president of Greater Branch NAACP. My little brother was the sitting president until he left the same organization. I went on around the state, went on tour, and wound up getting involved in different organizations. But those organizations gave us a fingerprint in the community.
Okay.
We never lost sight of the community, so we've always been doing the work.
Wow, that's pretty decent, man. I definitely want to get back and go back a little bit in time with you, man. And just because this is an educational platform, and a lot of these young guys really watch this show to get answers from OGs just like yourself, to see where they can, paths that they can avoid in order to not be incarcerated. So let me ask you, man, are you from Philadelphia?
North Philly, born and raised.
Philly, all right. So tell me, man, like, how'd you get yourself caught up in the situation? And what age were you when you did go upstate?
Well, that's a complex answer because I went to the streets early. You know what I'm saying? And it's so funny because I was indulging in different things in the streets, selling drugs and running around early. And pretty much that wasn't a reflection of my total family situation. but my immediate family situation. You know, my mom wound up developing an addiction. You know, so as the oldest sibling, I took upon myself to actually, you know, go to the forefront.
Okay.
And I got 2 younger brothers, and I pretty much took care of them. So that's what started down that path. That's not what led me to jail eventually, but bad choices, bad decisions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like it's the same story that we see overplayed over and over again.
Right.
You know, running with the wrong crowds, making decisions, playing a grown man's game. You know, doing grown man things because it wasn't a game.
Right.
You know, I stay away from that kind of vernacular for various reasons. Because unfortunately, words have power. And as long as we associate certain words with certain things, it seems acceptable. Instead of calling it what it is, nonsense.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Destroying our communities, you know. So, but I went out in the streets and you know, one thing led to another, escalated. And next thing you know, at the age of 17, I was locked up facing first-degree murder. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I'm an open book. The only thing I won't ever say, and not out of disrespect, but out of so much respect, I would never say my victim's name because I don't want to seem like I'm exploiting them or exploiting the situation and victimizing the family yet again.
Absolutely.
But a loss of life, and that's one of the things that motivate me. You know, I live for the destruction that I was a part of.
Okay.
You know, that's my motivating factor, not no paycheck, not no status symbol, you know, to right some wrongs and to change some lives.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I love that answer, man. And I wanted to ask you, just as a juvenile going upstate, at what point did it hit you that I may never come home again?
Well, and to be honest with you, that's a dangerous question to ask because for me, I never not knew I was coming home. You know, now the reality of my situation, I was originally sentenced to death penalty.
Okay.
And subsequently, I got it overturned to a life sentence. And then I wound up serving 27 and a half years. So for me, I never not knew I wasn't coming home. I always lived my life in preparation for when I came home.
Okay.
I just didn't know what date.
Okay.
But I always knew I was coming home.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that was the propelling factor for me. Because people would tell you they never gave up hope. That's a lie. People would tell you, you know, they believe in God. That's true, but your faith wavered.
Okay.
You know, and for me, when I went through those down parts, what kept me going was my arrogance. My arrogance was my story don't end like this. My story don't end like this. And those brief seconds where that arrogance kicked in and bridged me over until my faith picked back up. Then my hope came back, and then my fight continued. So it was never not knowing that I was coming home. It was just when. When will the opportunity present itself, and when will I continue to do what I supposed to be deserving of coming home?
Right.
So that was like a dangerous thing. But to answer your question, I guess for me, the reality of it was when I was upgraded for it. I got upgraded for it. And just seeing guys, older guys. And that was a conversation, like, I'm going home. No, I know you ain't never go home. And to hear and see how many people was beat down with that belief that they never go home.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the reality for some. I'm not going to rob people of their reality. But to vocalize it was telling me, I got to get away from you.
Okay.
You know, like, I'm done. I'm not dealing with you no more. And I speak to you and we can be cordial, but to believe that me and you could really exchange any energy is not, because you're going to suck away my hope.
Right.
My faith.
Right.
My arrogance. You know, I'm getting away from you.
Yeah.
So that's when the reality hit. And you sit down, there was one guy, man, I never forget his name, man. It was Irvin Moore. This dude was a genius. He was very intellectual. He was very smart, very talented. He painted pictures that belong in museums.
Right.
Harold Carmichael said there's a clip somewhere when they had that show. He came to the cell and touched the walls. Was it Carmichael? I think it was. Touched his walls and realized I saw it because he did a picture of it. He wanted to come see where that picture was created. So this guy was talented.
Right.
And I was at a table with him one day. I never forget this. I'm like, oh man, how you do all this time? At the time, I think he had like 30-something years in.
Wow. Okay.
And he was like, man, you know, I just was, you know, he had addiction. I did it in the 9. And I'm like, yeah. He said, then I woke up, realized where I was at. I went back in another 9. He said, 40 years went by. He said, I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm like,
really?
But this was one of the most intellectual people I've never met. You know, and he would tell me, and it's so funny because it plays itself over and over in our communities. He was one of the guys that would tell me what I'm capable of, but didn't see it in himself.
Yeah.
You know, like, yo,
see
you
that
can go
a lot.
home, do this, do that, but I'm good. Like,
Right,
yo, that
right.
doesn't make no sense. And the same thing we see in our community. Like, we see dudes that's living the wrong way, encourage others to go to school, be something with your life.
Exactly.
All right, well, why don't you come with me then?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Lead by example.
lead by example.
Right. Now, could you talk to me about your last day?
Last day in jail?
No, I'm talking about, well, your release date.
Oh, my release day. We were like walking through it.
Yeah, walk me through it, man. The celebration.
My last day in jail, I'll never forget this. I ain't sleep none the night before. And it's so funny because nothing with me ever comes the way it's supposed to be scripted. And it was up in the air because of the Phoenix Grayford transition closing. So all the state was closed down, locked down.
Okay.
So when I was originally supposed to take my urine, that timed out, which is a whole bunch of nonsense.
Okay.
So it was like fresh. I couldn't even enjoy the process.
Right.
So eventually when I did know it was coming, the date was coming, I didn't sleep the night before. The next day I got up. When I got up, my pseudo family was there. I literally woke up, it was like 14, 15 dudes outside my door.
Really?
Because we were getting released.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something that a lot of people don't understand. Like, people peg convicts as the most selfish, heinous, worst individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And I've encountered more humanity in jail than I have in 2 years of being home.
Really? Wow.
Outside of my family.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because they live by a code of consequences.
Mm-hmm.
There's a penalty for your actions.
Mm-hmm.
Out here, there is really no consequences. People
Right.
are so absorbed in daily life, the hustle and bustle of electronics that they don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
But in there, you're forced to be human.
Right.
So they was outside my door, tears in their eyes and happy. And these grown men, these dudes
Just
that,
happy for you.
they just happy for us. Like, we
Yeah.
won. We just like, yo, we won. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they was all out there. We talked, and the process of being released, they don't call you until your receiver room call you to come down there and so forth.
Okay.
So I'm waiting around. We went around. Next thing you know, before you know, it was like 40 of us out there. And so funny is because it was a testament to my character.
Mm-hmm.
None of us was getting chased away from the guards. They understood how monumental this was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They were like, yo, go ahead, do y'all, boom, boom. And when I left, they literally walked into the front gate. Never, like, all the way up to the way the jail is designed. And if you've never been there, you wouldn't understand it, but it's the best child hall. You go up to it like the seat room.
Mm-hmm.
They literally walked me all the way up to that gate.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason they were able to do it is because they knew we were winning.
Wow.
The guards knew we were winning.
So they just let that go, man.
Let us have that moment.
Right.
Let us have that
Wow, I
moment.
like that, man. And I feel like we need to have a lot of that. Like, people don't know that there are some good guards. It's like there are some good cops.
I mean, to be honest with you, man, once you realize, and I said, that was one of the part of the transition that people make inside. Once you realize who your enemy is,
Mm-hmm.
jail is so much easier.
Right.
You know, you come in with this mentality that it's them and us. Like, nah, dude, no, he's inconsequential to my release.
Right.
If the phone call come today or tomorrow, he can't do nothing but open the door.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So why am I mad at him? And I used to have to explain that to the same guards. Like, yo, you get your paycheck regardless if you got your foot on my neck or not.
Mm.
Why you mad at me?
Right.
You know, and I used to always have to like bridge that gap with common sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so they wasn't the problem, you know, man. It's people that are problems. You know, a lot of institutions are problems,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the people that give the institution label.
So in the beginning of the interview, we talked about you starting your grown organization, you and your brother. I just wanted to know more about that because that's so interesting, especially being home for only 2 years. Like, I mean, I know it sounds lengthy, but it's really not. You know what I mean? Like, that's, you know, just to start your own organization. Like, can you just speak more about that?
Sure. I mean, the impetus of it was when we came home, we were involved in another organization, working with this organization that was doing reentry work.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all in, we were wholeheartedly all in. But we realized that there were voids there that weren't being addressed.
Right.
So understanding our value, our own personal value, and understanding our ability to give more to our communities, we had to just bet on ourselves and walk away.
Mm.
You know, we bet on ourselves, and this is checks unseen. You know, this is an organization that was paying us.
Really?
The problem is, like I said, with what I'm noticing, there was an organization that had an ideology that got into reentry work.
Okay.
That wasn't their staple.
Okay.
So it wasn't primary in their focus. And it was reflected in the administrative aspects.
Okay.
You know, and that was disheartening because we were all in. And, you know, coming home, one of the things that you encounter with a lot of guys that make transition from the streets is loyalty. And sometimes a false sense of loyalty, but loyalty.
Right.
And you want it reciprocated. And so when you don't see it, or you want other people to be a certain way, but they're just being them, it's disheartening. So with that said, we say, you know what, we know what we're doing. We built this program up. We have the know-how. Let's just go. And so we went and we just took I'm not gonna say a leap of faith, we just bet on ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we was already doing the work.
Right.
You know, we was under the umbrella and the auspices of another program, but we was the face. We were doing it. We were engaging. We was community outreach. And we just took a leap and we just been doing it ever since. So what it is G.R.O.W.N is gaining respect over our worst nights. The reason we chose that is twofold. One, to be grown speaks for itself. You know, it speaks for yourself. It's like if you grown, you know what that encapsulates. It's everything. That's one of the things we want to show, that there's grown men in our community.
Right.
You know, in every sense of the word. That's the first part. The other part was we came home as juvenile lifers.
Okay.
And while I understand why we had that moniker, it didn't describe who we were. You know what I'm saying? I'm a grown man now. And it's so funny because I went away with another organization and we were in Washington and we were talking to a big company. And the employees of the company came to hear us speak. And they were expecting juvenile lifers.
Like kids.
They didn't expect grown men and women to walk in the room. And it was just so funny. So it hit me then like, yo, that moniker doesn't fully encapsulate my growth.
Right.
You know, I'm grown now. And so that's where the name comes from.
Oh.
But also, when we thought about it, we gave it a lot of deliberate thought. It's not by happenstance that we wanted to be more inclusive than people just that with justice impact. So when we say you're gaining respect over your worst nights, it could be somebody that was a victim of child molestation, poverty, domestic violence, eviction, whatever. Whatever you felt ripped you down to your lowest point, and you got to be empowered. Come under the umbrella of G.R.O.W.N.
Is it just Philadelphia or are you guys?
Well, right now it's funny you say that because we started in Philadelphia, and we have somebody interested in starting a chapter in Florida and New York.
Wow.
The problem with that, or not the problem with this, the one in Florida we know wholeheartedly, we know who this person is, and we've talked to him. I flew out and talked to him, and we're not opposed to that. But one of the things that I always stress to my brother, one of the things I love business. I love the art of the deal. And I told him, anytime before we outgrow ourselves, I want the McDonald's concept. When I go to McDonald's anywhere, I know what the fries gonna taste like.
Right.
I know what them cheeseburgers gonna taste like.
Yeah.
So if anybody goes and opens up a banner under G.R.O.W.N, I want that same character. I want that same determination, that same focus, and that same attitude.
Right.
And so we gotta be real strategic with that, opposed to just being all over the place.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we have a chapter in Pittsburgh, and we're in discussion about, excuse me, first that. We have a chapter in Harrisburg, and we're talking about going to Pittsburgh.
Oh, all right. So basically it's quality over quantity, man.
Exactly.
Definitely, man. So what types of things do you guys do, like on the street level?
All right, well, our main staple will be our mentoring program. We develop a 12-week course that's encompass life skills. I use mentoring because for different audiences, it's easy to explain.
Okay.
However, when you talk to grown men that's not in the business world, like I don't need no mentor because it's associated with being a child.
Yeah.
So more than anything else, it's just a curriculum of life skills and pro-social behavior. And take it from a concept in a perspective of people that came from the streets. You know, because a lot of times what we don't understand is every environment has their own vocabulary.
Right.
Every industry has their own vocabulary. And so sometimes we can do ourselves a disservice by not learning the vocabulary.
Yeah.
And so with us, we make it a point to talk to our audience instead of at them. And so as a result of it, it has more inclusive feel.
Okay.
And so we've been able to penetrate. So we got a mentoring program. We like to say do food giveaways. We do document retrieval.
Okay.
Which is an inside joke.
Oh yeah.
Document retrieval. Voter registration.
Okay.
We accomplish a whole lot. What am I forgetting? Like say this pandemic gave us a new extension. We got a health arm of it. We give out free masks. We got an upcoming giveaway with bags. Got hand sanitizer, gloves, health brochure, and all that. So it's like we across the board. But the thing that we do best is we don't do one thing.
Right.
That's what we do best. We are just a conduit for people to do what they want to do. You know, whether it's the incubator process because we help with small businesses. You know, we do employment. You know what I'm saying? So in another organization that might be called workforce development. Or like, no, what do you need? Because part of the staple of being grown is being financially secure. And everybody doesn't want to work. Some people have entrepreneur aspirations.
Right.
And I definitely encourage that. You know, but some people understand like, yo, you got to get a job to get your money to start your business.
Yeah.
You know, so you're working for your business. I ain't working for 10 hours an hour. No, you're working for your business.
Right.
That 10 hours an hour is just the bridge. So we do a lot. We definitely do prison reform, and as far as advocating for prisoners, and that's the most important part of what we do, because it's not always the places we show up. It's not always just the necessary, like I said, things that we're doing to assist them. Is what we're doing not to hurt them.
Okay. Gotcha.
Because we're giving everybody a platform to be co-defendants for those in jail. I don't know if you know this or everybody that sitting here I'm talking to know this, but when somebody does something wrong, every prisoner around the country is they rap. See, this is why we don't let y'all out. He did this and he did that and he did this.
Very true.
But they overlook the thousands of people that are successful.
Right.
So our goal is to stand to the forefront and say, we're success stories.
Yeah.
You know, and change the narrative. The narrative is important.
Right.
And we're changing the narrative from I was locked up to and I was locked up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so we like thumping our chest and saying, when you go for parole, you go for commutation, point your fingers at them guys.
Right.
I walk with them, I talk to them, I learned the same lessons they learned. I taught many of them.
Yeah.
Or learned from them. Whatever the case is, the situation, highlight us.
Wow.
And they can't say nothing.
It sounds like such a dope organization, man. And I just want to let everybody out there know, if there is a way that somebody that's watching wants to donate or be a part of G.R.O.W.N, like, where can they find the information at? You guys got a website, headquarters?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna give you all the information. We on Instagram, which is G.R.O.W.N on Instagram.
At G.R.O.W.N?
At G.R.O.W.N on Instagram, _at G.R.O.W.N.
Okay.
That's on Instagram. We have a Facebook group, G.R.O.W.N.
Okay.
Facebook group is G.R.O.W.N. I can be reached at I AM Donnell Drinks on Instagram, and my name on Facebook. We can highlight information. Nice Town Ike on Instagram, and Don Jones on Facebook. Well, that's my brother's co-founder. Like, listen, I sit before you, but I sit with him.
Okay.
There's nothing I'm capable or able to do without his assistance. And that's something that we highlight and that's important to me. While I might be here talking, he's actually somewhere else doing some paperwork right now, to be honest with you. I was on the phone. Like, we like this. Like, there's no big eyes and little U's, and that's one of the things that allowed us to be successful.
Okay.
Because we complement each other, and he's my sounding board, I'm his sounding board.
Like that.
So while I'm here, he's with me. So I don't want people to become synonymous with my face with G.R.O.W.N. It's our thing. It's the men and women of G.R.O.W.N.
Okay.
So that's important. But yeah, and then we can be reached at P.O. Box 2957, Philadelphia, PA 19126. The phone number is 267-694-1003. 267-694-1003. And like I said, we're receptive to monetary donations, services, support, merchandise, whatever. Like, our whole thing is we want our communities back to where they used to be, beyond what we even remember. Because like I said, we are part of the destruction. But prior to that, there was a more holistic family approach to our communities. And we want to be that staple of bringing that back. So if you want to be a part of it and you can't get out and come and do nothing, donate some money. If you don't want to donate no money, you got some time, come out. We have neighborhood cleanups. We started a program, which is something I want to speak about. It's called Grown Safe Zones. And the whole premise and the concept of it is we've been in the streets. So we know street people operate in silence. Well, they used to before the internet.
I know, right? Yeah.
But the whole premise was to take the sign, that beware of dog sign, beware of owner sign, and highlight what establishments were supported by Grown and supportive of Grown. So we got these cards and you put them in the window. And the reason that's important is one house might can catch the vitriol of the bad guy. But a whole block, what's the bad guy going to do? He's going to move.
Right.
And then you got that block. And then the next block do it. And the next block do it. Before you know it, they scared. And so now we got one community. So it's called Grown Safe Zones. You know, we got council people on board. We're going to introduce it on the floor eventually. City council floor. Like, our whole thing is take back our communities. You know, men and women and children, man, like, we getting lost a lot. We in uproar about all this violence. Let's take it all the way through.
Right.
Let's not pick and choose. You know, let's not have picks.
Right.
If you're destroying our neighborhood, you don't belong in our neighborhood.
That's real. That's real. Now, I want to ask for some advice. You know, what would you tell to an individual that may not have the incarceration experience that you have, but wants to get into reentry, like, and has the power? Because that's what I see a lot in the reentry field in Philadelphia. You know, let's call it like it is. White Americans, they have the resources, they have the means to get the grant money to propel their organizations, and then they might bring in some black folks to be the face or do the groundwork, but it's really their thing. So what would you say first to those types of organizations that do get the grant money to help with people re-entering society, and how would you answer that question first, because it's a two-part question.
It's definitely a two-part question.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get confused. You just about to send me off on a tangent.
Yeah.
But the first thing I would say is I would tell a person, don't get in reentry. Because if you're getting in reentry,
One second. Don't get in reentry if you weren't locked up?
No.
Oh, just don't get in.
I'm about to finish.
Okay.
We're talking to a person that never was locked up that want to get in reentry.
Yeah.
I would say don't get in reentry. And what I mean by that is, if you get in reentry, you already come in with a philosophy. That already pigeonholes you to a way to approach it.
Okay.
Reentry. Who is reentry? Now you got a reentrant. Like, you give us different names. Every week's a different name.
Right.
So now you're already labeling the people you're working with.
Right.
Now, what I would say to that person is, understand you're getting into the people business. And you're helping people that have issues. And one of those issues have to be returning to society.
Exactly.
But if you get into re-entry, you already coming with those blocks that's already been identified by people with ideologies that don't think like us or for us. You know, you get the re-entry, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. So now you're just going to find a way to do those very things that was already laid out by your other part of the question, by people that don't have those same ideas and different ideologies.
Right.
Or they working from a premise of the necessary funding, or a premise of, in some instances, white guilt. You know, so, like I said, I'm real careful about how I categorize people, because I don't want to be that way.
Right.
But you know what you know and you see what you see. And unfortunately, a lot of the organizations do have black faces at our level. But then as you go up, the face change.
Gotcha.
And so with the face changing, the ideologies are usually of the ones that's higher up.
Right.
And that hinders the real actual work on the ground.
All right, man. Well, what about the flip side? You got black folks coming out of prison and they want to jump right into reentry, especially because another thing that I noticed was the arrogance. You know, a lot of individuals, especially people that have done like a substantial amount of time, they come out of prison and can't nobody tell them nothing.
Yeah.
You know, they can't take advice from somebody that may got a degree or have been on the outside looking in. So what would you tell that type of person?
You know, it's so funny you say that, right? Because I got a degree. I ain't gonna tell you that, but I got a degree. Everybody in jail know this. I got a PhD, and they call me Dr. Drinks, right?
Okay.
And my PhD is a prison honor degree. I am an expert on prison.
Okay.
So that means I'm an expert on the dudes in prison. And a lot of them dudes is idiots. I'll be the first to say, and I'm qualified to say, because I got 27 and a half years experience. They're idiots, period.
Right.
However, that doesn't disqualify them from their passion. They just don't know what they don't know.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of guys that come out like, I want to do this because I got this much experience. No, you don't. What did you do to help people prior? And that's a lot of things that I can debate, and the other people that did time can debate with them. That somebody that didn't do time can't debate with them. They can reinvent themselves.
Okay.
But dudes that know you, look, I know how you did your time. You played cards all day. You went to school 4 years right before you grade go. You got 40 years in. Why you just now going to school?
Right.
You just now got a GED. And that's not to sound from an arrogant stance, but it's the how, like, listen, be serious about what you're going to do. Master your craft. And if you want to master your craft, it should have started before you got out. Because the grant hustlers and the reentry pimps aren't only those that didn't do time.
Right.
There's also the ones that did time.
Right.
And they think it's an easy grab. Well, I ain't got to do nothing, I got to show up because I was already in jail. Well, what was your transition like? You know, what foundation? How would you advise somebody? So that flip question you asked me, it's a valid question. And I would say the same thing to them as I would say to somebody that didn't serve time. Are you really in the people business? And if you're in the people business and you're helping people with issues, what qualifies you to help? You know?
And I feel like you was going to, I feel like you already answered my next question. I wanted to merge the two.
Okay.
So as somebody that did a substantial amount of time, what qualifies somebody in your eyes? Because your perspective matters, you know?
Okay. Somebody that can see humanity in a person. Period. I don't care about no degrees. I don't care about no lack of degrees. If you can wholeheartedly sit across the table and not judge, you're qualified. And if you can wholeheartedly sit across the table and see yourself, you're qualified. Because if you can't see yourself in that seat, either seat, then you're not qualified to be in that equation.
Right.
Because if I'm on that other side getting help, I should be able to see myself empowered and on the side helping somebody.
Right.
And if I'm on the side of helping that person, I should be humble enough to sit on the other side and see that, damn, I might need some help. And if you don't have that humanity or that ability to see that and juxtapose yourself on either side of the table, then you don't need to be there.
Exactly. You
don't need to be there because it's a give and take process. Just like you're a service provider, the person got to be willing to receive the service. And unfortunately, too often, when we're dealing with the justice system, it beats people down on both sides. You know, and I used to tell everybody, and I'm not taking no pop shots, but I am. I had this thing I used to tell guys. I would walk to a guard and say, I've never heard of a great guard. Tell me one great guard. Captured, whatever word you want to use, depending on what period of time. And they would be like, oh, what do you mean? And I would stump them, and then you would see it. Yeah. I would stump them, they would leave and come back and try to, well, what do you mean by great? Ironically enough, in 20-something years of doing it, none of them ever said me. That's the first part. But then on the flip side, I would tell the guys in jail, I can name plenty of great people that was on the other side of that door. No matter what ideology you believe in, from Gandhi to Jesus to Malcolm to Martin, you know, Paul, like you name it, they were incarcerated before and captured, whatever word you want to use, on that side. So history's already shown you what side the greatness is on the locked door.
Like that, yeah.
And I would ask them, what are you producing?
Right.
You know what I mean? What are you doing right now to prepare yourself to be great? And so when the segue that, the way I said that is the segue into what you just said. If you weren't already working on your greatness on the inside, it's going to be mighty hard to come right out into your greatness.
Yeah, that's real.
Because your mentality's not there.
Yo, I really appreciate it. And I want to ask you one final question, man, because like I could see the intelligence, man. I could see just the growth in you, man.
Thank you, man. You see me being grown.
I
I'm
can
so
see
grown.
that.
I'm so grown. You know, I'm so grown.
This
Like,
interview was actually making me feel empowered. Like, damn, maybe I need to be doing some more in the community.
man, I'm so grown. Man.
This platform is called With Time We Can.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I wanted to know, what does With Time We Can mean to you? You can be as general as you want.
It means you could be grown. And like, I'm not just saying that because I'm marketing, be grown, you know what I'm saying? But what it means to me is the opportunity that presents itself with time. You know, I don't look at anything lost can be found but time wasted. So for me, as long as there's time, you can do whatever you want, man, no matter where you come from, whatever impeded you, what started you out, you don't have to stay there. I'm telling you, I am a high school dropout, originally high school dropout from North Philadelphia. I done spoke at Ivy League colleges. I done been flew around the country to speak. I done been awarded grants from the city of Philadelphia. I don't say these things to brag. I say these things as like, yo, can do this, you can do this and more. And you said I'm educated, I'm intelligent, I appreciate that, thank you. But that's only a testament of time. Being able to read, being able to study. So when you ask me that question, I say, guess what? You got an opportunity to be grown. You know what I mean? You got an opportunity to grow up into your growth. Whatever grown is for you. And that's why I love it to be so obscure. Because my growth and my grown ain't your grown.
Right.
You can put 20 grown members here and everybody tell you something different why they're grown.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what it means to me, man.
Hey, nothing else said, man. I just want to humbly thank you for coming on the platform. Grown With Time We Can. Another episode in the books. We out.
Stay grown.